Today's show is canceled. Of course, I mean April Fools. Welcome into Mean Green Scream. I am your host with the crappy joke, Shaji Adam, and I want to say happy opening day to all you baseball fans. I know our floor director is paying attention to her game, so hopefully she can keep on track and also keep track of her game. I'm so excited for today's show, so let us get started. It has been a great semester for North Texas sports, and now two of our finest are on their way out. Wide receiver Jalen Darden recently had his pro day, and UNT basketball star Javion Hamlet revealed that he will be declaring for the NBA draft. Joining me now to discuss these stars are Jacob Bernardini and Rachel Sanders. How are y'all?
I'm great.
Fantastic.
I mean, this is definitely a great time to be part of UNT. And now I want to ask real quick, what year are both of you in terms of being here at UNT?
I'm a junior at UNT.
And I'm a freshman.
All right, Jacob, I'm going to start with you because you are a freshman. You've been kind of spoiled because UNT has had a resurgence in terms of quality of sports. It's great to be here. Obviously, the pandemic has kind of ruined that UNT sports experience. But what has been, your journey so far here freshman year, seeing UNT sports?
Well, I have to admit, I'm a Bills and a Knicks fan, so I'm pretty used to misery. I've had to experience it my entire life, but I'm really excited that the teams are good. I think the football team's in a good place. They're transitioning to a new era, and the basketball team's in a great place. Please, Grant McCaslin, if you're watching this, don't leave, please. Texas Tech, Lubbock isn't that nice. It's not that nice, guy.
I don't think he's going to go anywhere for now, but yes, I do agree with Jacob. Grant McCaslin, if you are listening anywhere, wherever you're listening, please don't go, okay? Now, Rachel, on the flip side, you are a junior. How much has UNT sports changed from freshman year to now?
It's changed a bunch. They've added a lot of new facilities for these athletes to really help them. They've added the new track and field facility, which is way better than Fouts. And there's also the new soccer facility as well with the track and field. I also think it's a great thing for the athletics to have the athletic center. And I'm really excited for this new future golf center as well. But I'm really, as a freshman, I was disappointed, and now I'm the most happy fan out there, and I'm excited to see what this team happens, and I'm hopeful that McCaslin stays here as well, and I'm really thinking that a lot of this has to do with Ren Baker and what he's done while he's here, and these championships are thanks to him and these fantastic coaches that have really set up really good seasons for the players.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. When I was a freshman coming in, UNT was still on the come up, but you saw a lot of potential, which was great. Now let's talk about potential. Let's talk about both of these guys. What does both of them getting media attention really do for UNT? Where do they go from here? Jacob, I'm going to start with you.
I think that they can improve on their local recruiting pipelines, and that's the biggest thing they have to do as a not Power 5 conference. They need to work on their local recruitment lines, very similar to SMU when they do very well locally here. UNT is starting to get more towards that level, especially on basketball. They've done incredibly well recruitment-wise, and UNT gets better every year. I'm from Frisco, know a lot of players. It's a very prominent place for D1 athletes, and a lot of them, UNT is becoming higher on the list for a lot of those players when it comes to searching for somewhere if they want to stay local. So it's good that we have these state-of-the-art facilities and that we're constantly getting better so we can improve on our recruitment pipelines and bring more players to the professional level.
Oh, without a doubt. And not to mention, March Madness has helped out so much. After UNT upset Purdue, I mean, I've never seen UNT's name more. I've never seen it. It was crazy. They were on Bleacher Report and Sports Center. They were all over the news. It was so great to see UNT. And all of a sudden, people are saying, oh, who's UNT? Who's UNT? We definitely got to talk about the Mean Green. Rachel, do you agree with that?
I completely agree. I think it's a great thing for the university. It's great for the school, it's great for the athletics, and I think it's especially great for recruiting. DFW is a high area for nearly all sports, and I think this is a really good way to capitalize on that and be able to get coverage that we've never been able to get before. I've never seen this type of coverage either, with so many people being happy about being alumni from here, and it's very odd to see that because a lot of the time before, most people were like, oh, it's a liberal arts school, oh, it's not a sports school, but to finally see that notoriety and to finally see us doing well, it's great as a fan and as a student, and I'm very excited for the future.
And Rachel, really quickly, do you think both of these stars will get drafted?
I don't think so. I think they will both end up in the pro some way, somehow. They'll either end up on a practice squad or a G League. I think out of the two of them, Darden has the better chance with going to the NFL because the NFL has way more draft positions than the NBA, but I think both of these players, if they get the time and if someone puts the energy into them, and if a team wants them, I think they can really do well and capitalize on what they've already done here, and I'm excited to see this for the future. And hopefully maybe other schools will see this too and be excited to see us as a potential for a few more conference championships.
All right, and Jacob, yes or no? Will both of them get drafted?
I'm going to have to say no as well. I think Darden has the higher chance of getting drafted as well. He sort of reminds me of a Cole Beasley, Isaiah McKenzie kind of player. They're both on the Buffalo Bills. Very short, fast, can do kick returns. That's probably most likely what position he'll be drafted for, the slot receiver position.
Right.
So I think his ceiling is probably the 5th round. It's the great thing for him, honestly, but with basketball, it's hard. It is very hard to get drafted. There's only 2 rounds. And if Mark Cuban, if you're watching this right now, please take a chance on Javion Hamlet. He's a hard worker. He's been through the JUCO route. He made it here. He brought us to our first ever tournament win. He's a grinder, so
I definitely think Mark will let you know. And as for both of them, I'm going to be positive. I'm going to say yes for both. Go Mean Green. All right, guys, coming up, a certain player responded to negative criticism about him, and boy, did he respond. Stick around. We will talk about that next on Mean Green Scream.
Bye, Janet. It's nice seeing you again. You a good girl. Just let me know what I can do to help.
Well, to help me, she'd have to help every day. Every hour, every ouch, every time my wife calls for help. I mean, maybe she could help me make her lunch. But the crust, all the crust has to be cut off the corners. She could help me run to the doctor for the 5th time this week. Help me with the specialist and the second opinions and the painful paperwork about paperwork. Help me deal with how hard it is seeing my wife's name on so much paperwork. But this is on me. I'm the only one who can do this, like this, for her. Besides,
Take care.
we will. Janet doesn't like her cooking anyway.
Find support for your strength. Visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community.
When you are in space, you can't run down to the store to buy parts. You have to improvise with what you have on your mission. Making is when there is something new that was not in existence at the beginning of the day.
Okay.
It's an incredible sense of accomplishment when you have made something. That's why I make. Now I want to hear why you make.
Share your own Why I Make story today. Visit whyimake.org.
After Stephen A. Smith said that Russell Westbrook's stats do not matter as he has never won a ring, the Wizard star responded saying that I was already a champion when I made it to the NBA. I am now joined by AJ Tellers and Jesus Gerardo. How are you guys?
Yeah, pretty good. Excited to be here.
I mean, I cannot believe this happened, but at the same time, I'm not totally surprised. So let's get right to it. AJ, does Stephen A. have merit here saying that Russell Westbrook's stats do not matter at all?
Look, it's really easy to get caught up in just the narrative that the media has driven lately. I understand what Stephen A. Smith, his job to do, but I think we need to be on Russell Westbrook's side here. Look, you can, the way the media has driven the narrative around the NBA about how championships and rings or what determines a player's legacy. As far as Westbrook goes, look, this is a guy that is going to go down as one of the best, most explosive, most athletic point guards in the history of the league. And his merit and his response was that, you know, it's not going to define him. His legacy, his impact, the journey that he's made to come into the NBA and what he means to his family, I think we need to stay on Westbrook's side on this one.
All right, Jesus, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, going off with you, I mean, I completely agree. You know, all the different achievements that he's been able to accomplish throughout his years in the league, you can't really overlook that just simply because he hasn't been able to get a ring or be on a championship caliber team. He will go down as one of the best point guards, in my opinion. And you can't really overlook that just because he hasn't had the same effort as LeBron James winning rings or comparing to other players. So,
yeah, and look, don't get me wrong. Sports is really all about winning. It really is. You got to win the rings. But at the same time, some of the stuff he's done, you cannot overlook it. There have been a lot of players that make it into the Hall of Fame that have never won a ring. You know, because there's not a lot of NBA players, not everybody can unfortunately get an NBA championship. But look, looking at Russell Westbrook's career, look, he won the MVP in 2017. He's been an All-Star Game MVP twice, NBA All-Rookie Team, Best Male Athlete ESPY Award, Comeback Player of the Year, Pac-12 Conference Defensive Player of the Year, 2-time scoring champ, 9-time All-NBA selection, and he won a gold medal back in 2012. he is without a doubt a first ballot Hall of Famer. I really don't know what the argument is. He will go down as one of the best point guards of all time. I think I might even have him top 5 all time. He is really that good. People like to compare him to Derrick Rose. Him and Derrick Rose played exactly the same. They are just Russ is just such an explosive athlete. And it just seems that narratives continue to change over the years. First, he was a bad teammate, but not a single teammate has really said anything bad about him. Then it was he doesn't really win games. But when he won the MVP year, he was winning games when you put people around him. Now it's just a matter of can he win a ring. It just seems that they're kind of extending the finish line for him anywhere he goes. And again, winning is the name of the game. But I'm going to ask you, AJ, is him winning a ring, does that truly taint his legacy? Or does it really matter anymore to win a ring?
It does matter, but at the end of the day, no, it doesn't taint his legacy. And all the accomplishments that you just listed, he's going to go down as one of the most decorated players in the NBA. And what is sad about the media-driven NBA that we're in today is players like Westbrook, as polarizing as they are and as easy as they are to build stories around and talk about all the negative aspects of his career, I'm unfortunately thinking he's one of those players that we may not truly appreciate, at least in the eyes of the media, until he's gone. Because there's, all those things you just listed, there's just not many players that have ever been at the level of Westbrook and have done the things he's done. Yeah, and Jesus, speaking of appreciation, Jesus, I'm going to ask you, are we really underappreciating players more and more as the years go on?
Yes, I want to go ahead and say that, yes, we are unappreciating these players. Just simply looking at it at the perspective as just the media always wants to see, they always want to talk about the players who are winning. They always want to talk about the players who have won the most titles. They always want to do those comparisons, Kobe, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, but then you overlook some of these statistics that some of these other players are getting game by game. Also, overall, just the overall productivity of players in the league has increased significantly in the last year. So, you have just recently, Russell Westbrook dropped 35 points and 20 assists on a triple-double just a couple nights ago, and you don't see it talked as much as it would have been maybe a couple 5-6 years ago because it's just been so much more common as there has been an increased number of talent in the league.
Yeah, he absolutely makes stuff so easy. I remember when he got that full season averaging a triple-double, everybody was going crazy. It was such an amazing time. But then when he did it the next year, everybody's like, I've already seen it. And now people treat it as a joke. But I just don't see why people tend to do that. Maybe it's just because they want to just talk about something and just kind of see what's going on now because that's yesterday's news. But to get a triple-double is absolutely unbelievable. And not to mention, when we watch a Russell Westbrook game, we know what we're going to get. He's not going to cheat us. He's not one to load manage. He is literally going to give you 1,000% every single night, and he is just explosive with that stuff. And hopefully people start to appreciate him. But thank you guys for this topic. So we will stick with the NBA as we debate a very hot topic. Who has the greatest move in NBA history? We will discuss that next. Don't go anywhere.
What would happen if I had to pick up the phone, call 911 for one of my family members or one of my neighbors? What would I do if no one was on the other end to respond? What if there was no 911? So you can be a part of the solution.
Anybody can be a firefighter. Male, female, younger, older.
We have school teachers. We have leaders in business.
Is me, you, anyone that wants to be.
There is no typical firefighter.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
Welcome back to Mean Green Scream. A recent ESPN article came out as it discussed the evolution of unguardable moves in the league. But the question I now ask is, what is the best move in NBA history? Joining me now to give their takes is Brandon Brown and Alec Rapp. How are y'all?
Good.
Doing great.
Yeah, I can't wait to discuss this, man. Talking about iconic moves is really such a fun thing to talk about. So, Alec, I'm going to start with you. What is one move that you think is one of the best in NBA history?
Yeah, so for this answer, I go to the answer, and of course, I'm talking about Allen Iverson and that just amazing crossover. This one is really interesting to me because, you know, Allen Iverson in college, this is where he learned this move. It wasn't a move that he'd been cultivating since he was like 5 or 6. This is something that he learned from his teammate Dean Barry, who was a walk-on at Georgetown, and he couldn't stop him in practice. And he said, you know, man, how do I do what you are doing? And so they would spend every practice, you know, day after day until he got this perfect. And he ended up taking that with him to the NBA and becoming a Hall of Famer. And, you know, there was a lot of talk about, was it a carry? And Tim Hardaway was really annoyed with Allen Iverson because this was Tim Hardaway's move. And he said that he carried. But Allen Iverson responded, yeah, I carried my crossover all the way to the Hall of Fame.
I mean, that's a great answer because AI's crossover, especially when he debuted against MJ. I mean, come on, you can't pick a better person to do it against. I mean, that's Michael Jordan, and he's one of the best defenders of all time. And the fact that you break that out, that means nobody is safe. Ain't nobody getting past an AI crossover. That is a good one.
You can't forget Ty Lue either.
I know AI did not forget Ty Lue, hence why he stepped over him. All right, Brandon, what about you? What's one you want to talk about?
I had to go with the Dirk Nowitzki one-legged fadeaway because a lot of these guys like Michael Jordan, James Harden, a lot of those guys have this athleticism that you can't really teach. It just kind of comes with them. Dirk didn't really have that athleticism coming into the league. You know, he had to develop something that could make him stand out against other elite NBA competition. So he developed this one-legged fadeaway, and it was great. He was able to make these shots while pushing defenders and keeping defenders away with his leg. And you see nowadays, you see guys like Kevin Durant trying to do that, LeBron James, and it was just a great move. And because it was just a player with a lot of skill but not a lot of athleticism, I think I have to give this the move because it made him stand out more.
Yeah, absolutely. Dirk in his early years had a little bit of athleticism because he could dunk back then, really get up there. But as he got older, obviously he relied more on his shooting, his fadeaway. Oh, man, it's just so good. And I think they did a sports science video where, like, they proved that it was basically unguardable. I mean, with his height, the way the angle is, it's basically unguardable straight up. And Dirk is just so sweet. One of the best shooters I've ever seen. And obviously that 2011 run, if we start talking about that, this will take up it'll take up a whole hour. Okay, so let me talk about mine that I want to talk about. Man, Kareem Skyhook, are you kidding me? That is one of the best moves. I mean, he's 7'2". You want to talk about an unguardable move? There ain't nobody besides Wilt Chamberlain, and Wilt Chamberlain is another anomaly. I don't even want to talk about that right now. But man, that is just such a great move. He can pop it out anywhere he wants to. It's just that iconic of a move, especially with Showtime, how he could get up there. There was literally nobody going to get past him. It's just a very iconic move, easily one of the best. All right, Brandon, what about you? What's your next one?
Steph's three-pointers. I mean, how does he shoot it from that far back, you know? Like, he comes, it's just barely past half court. He just takes the shot in all what seems like a motion, a 1-second motion. And he's able to make it, and he looks amazing doing it. He's always able to score in those tight situations, like, oh, there's a little bit of defensive coverage there. No problem, I'll just shoot it from almost half court. It's elite.
Yeah, and I'm really glad you mentioned that because I'm going to move into mine, and that's James Harden, that step back. And I think this is something that if you look at how the game has progressed just over the past 10 years, Steph Curry was a huge part in that. I think he's one of the most influential basketball players to play the game because of what he did with the three. And James Harden, he took some moves from other players like everybody does. And you have that step back. Some people call it a travel, some people don't. Depends on the situation. But, Harden was able to take that step back to enhance the three-pointer, and that has allowed so many different players in the NBA to get that space. You'll see Luka do it. You'll see all these young talent, Trae Young. All these guys are starting to do this, and, he's another influential player. And I think that is really an important move in the game of basketball.
Yeah, it's so interesting to talk about Harden's fadeaway because it's very difficult to see whether it's a carry or a travel or not. And especially with today's NBA, I feel like players are just getting away with more and more travels as the years goes on, which is fine because, I mean, who doesn't want to see a 140-point game from a team? It's just very entertaining, but it is. Well, once Harden gets going and that step back, he starts hitting it consistently, is one of the toughest moves. And obviously, talking with Steph, I mean, come on, Steph's three, he completely changed the game. He's actually the greatest shooter ever. Sorry, I don't mean to disrespect you, Steph. You are the greatest shooter of all time. And now, the other one I want to talk about, this is another fadeaway, but it's not Dirk's. It's Kobe and MJ's. And the reason why I talk about both of them is because Kobe did mirror his game after Jordan. But man, their fadeaways are just so iconic. Anytime you want to go to the gym and try and practice some Kobe or MJ shots, you mainly do those fadeaway shots because those are just way too iconic. I mean, it's like they're defying gravity every time they do that shot, but they somehow land on their feet, bucket goes in, and they drop 60 on any team they want. All right, guys, so now let's switch it up a bit. Alec, what about you? What is the worst move, in NBA history?
Yeah, so I went a little outside of the box here, and if you are unaware, it won't make much sense, but the worst move in my eyes is ordering pizza the night before a finals game. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just look up the MJ flu game. This might be the greatest performance MJ has ever had in his career. And at the time, everybody thought, oh, it's flu-like symptoms. He's got the flu. But if you watch The Last Dance that came out last year, he talks about this experience where he has 3 different guys come to his room to deliver one pizza. Now, to me, that's a red flag. Why he still ate it? He sent everybody out and he said, I'm going to eat this whole thing myself. Boom, does that.
Yeah, like anytime you see him on the sidelines, he was about to pass out. It's
exactly.
Yeah, it's a fantastic thing, and we are running out of time. I'm sorry, but real quickly, I am gonna say no-look passes. They happen way too much. It's just a tad overrated now. But up next, it is Trivia Thursday. Do not go anywhere as I ask our analysts trivia questions, and the theme I will reveal when we come back.
During high school, I hung with the wrong crowd and I never graduated.
I helped Santiago in many different ways, like all fathers do, because he always wanted to go to college.
I felt a little embarrassed to come back to school, but eventually once I came here, I knew that it's for a bigger goal.
He was very dedicated, hardworking. He connected with his teachers. He connected with other students. That was one of the key reasons why he was able to keep forging ahead.
It was amazing to see him graduate. This was one thing that meant so much to him, and of course, it meant so much to us too.
With the help of my father and having my son, that was all the motivation that I needed. That support is everything.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
150 over 90.
180 over 111.
160 over 110. I had a stroke.
Your blood pressure numbers could change your life. Lowering them could save you from having a stroke. If you've stopped your treatment plan, restart it or talk to your doctor about creating one that works better for you. Start taking the right steps at manageyourbp.org.
Now I'm, trying to get better, stronger than ever.
Mean Green Scream is held on every Thursday, and so we like to have our own little Trivia Thursday, and this week's theme is the NFL Draft. Our contestants today are Jose Moreno and Mark Barrera. How are y'all?
Doing good.
Doing good.
All right, so for those of you who haven't watched this show before, how this works is I will give a question and obviously answer choices, and they will have 10 seconds to write on their boards as Jose is showing as he's going along with this, and the winner will really not win anything. This is just really for my entertainment. All right, so question 1. Here we go, guys. Number 1. Dak Prescott was drafted in the 4th round. What number pick was he? Was he A, 130, B, 135, C, 140, or D, 125? You have 10 seconds starting now. I'm pretty sure all of us were. All right. All right, guys, time's up. Mark, I'm going to start with you. What did you guess?
Guess B, 135.
Okay, an excellent choice. And Jose, what about you?
I picked B, and I even drew a little picture of Dak.
Yes,
right there.
I'm sure he appreciated that. Yes, the correct answer is B. You both get a point. Congratulations. I'm so happy. All right, question number 2. What year was the last time a North Texas player was drafted? Was it A, 2012, B, 1995, C, 2004, or D, 2018? You have 10 seconds starting now. Also, you get extra credit if you can name the player or the team he was drafted by. All right, guys, time is up. Jose, I'm going to start with you. What did you put?
And I drew a picture of Scrappy right here. If you can see him, guys.
Are you saying that Scrappy was drafted by?
No, but if Scrappy was, he'd be the greatest NFL player to ever live.
Okay.
Scrappy.
Mark, what about you?
I put C, and I want to guess that the person drafted was Patrick Cobbs.
Okay. It is C, 2004, but the person that was selected was linebacker Cody Spencer, and he was drafted by the Oakland Raiders. But yes, I am talking to you, NFL. Please draft Scrappy. All right, guys, question 3. The final pick in the NFL draft is number 255. What is the nickname of the final pick? Is it A, Mr. Unrelated, B, Mr. Unimportant, C, Mr. Nobody, or D, Mr. Irrelevant? You have 10 seconds starting now. And time is up. All right, Mark, what about you? What did you put?
Put D, Mr. Irrelevant.
Okay. What about you, Jose?
I put D, and I drew a loser. On his forehead says loser. He's a loser. He's irrelevant.
Well, let's just put it this way. Yes, you are correct. D is the correct answer. It is Mr. Irrelevant, and you drew a loser. Jose, you aren't even in the draft, so what does that make you?
I'm also a loser. That's the best part, dude. It's like the 250 is always like a kicker or like a guy you'd see in a coffee shop in 3 years.
All right, so yeah, you both are correct. All right, so now let's go to number 4. What year did the first NFL draft take place? Was it A, 1936, B, 1935, C, 1947, or D, 1931? You have 10 seconds starting now. Oh, I see the puzzle on Mark's face.
That one's good. That one's confusing. That was a good question. I'll give you that.
Oh, now it's a good question. Yeah. Are you saying my questions before were terrible?
It was a little easy.
All right, time is up. Jose, stop writing. What is your answer?
I put C, and I put a picture of Goodell saying, and with the first pick, I was going to put Jose.
Yes, it looks like him. All right, Mark, what about you?
I guessed A. I really didn't know which one it was.
All right.
But I guessed A.
Mark takes the lead. It was A, 1936.
Are you kidding me?
All right, you can redeem yourself. This is the final question, and I'll make this one worth 2 points, so we definitely have a winner. All right, so number 5 is, since 2000, which college football team has had the most NFL draft picks? Is it A, Alabama, B, LSU, C, Ohio State, or D, Miami? 10 seconds starting now. Stop drawing. This is not part of the activity.
It's fun.
All right, quickly, guys, give your answers. Jose, both of you reveal your boards now.
Boom.
Alabama.
C, Ohio State. I drew the Buckeye.
Jose wins. It is Ohio State.
How is it not Alabama?
Congrats, guys. That will be it for us. If you like our content, be sure to subscribe to North Texas Television on all social media. Thank you to everyone that makes this show happen. None of this would happen without you. So long, everyone. We will see you next week.
Watch King Kong vs. Godzilla in theaters.
America, the zip code you're born in can determine your future. The Y helps fill the opportunity gap with education programs for all. For a better us, support your local Y today.
Sometimes we can do things that exclude others.
You're still talking to your friend. It's complicated.
I think he went back in. We gotta go get him.
Welcome to Jumanji.
Even the